Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the state of the podcast, Josh Finney.
God, Corey, it's been a week.
Yeah, hopefully the state of the podcast is better than the state of the game.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna jump right on into it here in just a second. I have a little bit of show and tell.
Ooh, show and tell.
I forgot one piece of show and tell in the other room. As we all know, I'm a huge Knights of the Republic fan.
Yes.
And I, on occasion, have been known to buy myself one of the nicer Black Series Star Wars figures. They made a Darth Malak that I forgot that I ordered last year at some point.
Ooh,
and it unexpectedly arrived in the mail yesterday. So, unfortunately, this was when Hasbro decided for about 8 months that they were going to go with plastic-free packaging, so you can't actually see the figure inside the package anymore.
Right.
You have to like fully open it. So I have to decide: am I going to open it or put it up next to the rest of my Sith Lords from the KOTOR series?
You got a cool Revan somewhere?
Yeah, the Revan is actually back there on my shelf.
Oh, I see it.
My Nihilus is up above my desk. So I want to congregate not just my Sith Lords, but my my characters who no longer exist in canon. I have a Mara Jade and a Kyle Katarn around here also. Jaina Solo.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to like do a whole like old EU mini shelf.
Yeah.
And in terms of Destiny stuff, I got my legendary campaign pin in the mail.
Ooh.
For the Lightfall campaign.
Ooh. Nice.
I think it turned out a little bit nicer than the Witch Queen one did. They look so bad in the preview images, and then they actually look really good when they come. So glad I've stuck with them. My champ seal and what's the other one? I have champ and something else that are supposed to be in the mail tomorrow.
Ooh.
Arriving tomorrow. Yeah, I've got champ and maybe it's my virtual. I think it's virtual fighter. The campaign seal.
Nice.
I've got those two arriving tomorrow. So
nice.
Pretty stoked about that. I'm really easy to please. Excuse me. It's not my virtual fighter. It's my my Ruder Nightmare spin. It's finally arriving.
Ooh, finally.
Very excited. Very excited about that. I really like the pins that they do, even if they are really pricey. But Corey, that's one of the only things I can compliment right now.
Well, Josh, I have something to compliment you on, actually.
What do we have compliments for?
So, you and I have started an Xbox podcast.
We have.
We were trying to spin it from our old Xbox podcast.
Yes.
But we have decided to make it part of the Tower Casual stuff. So it is called. We changed the name, everybody. So if you have been listening, thank you for listening. If you haven't been listening, you should check it out. It's simply called Xbox Casuals. Shocker.
Yeah, we want to keep things more uniform. Kind of signify this is just something that Corey and I are doing.
Yeah.
Two projects that we're immensely proud of. Of course, Xbox Casuals. You guys can find that every other Tuesday. That is not an every week podcast, but with some of the stuff that we're trying to plan out for the next several months. In the off weeks, we're hoping to have some special episodes for you.
Yeah. Trying.
Yeah.
Hard.
There's just simply not enough news out there to do a podcast every week.
Yeah.
Because we run into the situation that we have like the first 3 episodes where all the news dropped the Friday before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if there's enough, like if we get like, thousands of listeners, like maybe we'll consider it. Right. But like Josh said, I mean, yes, technically there might be enough news to do every week, but like who wants to listen about, Herky Durky Jumping Bobble is coming to Game Pass,
I mean, like when there's like bigger things, like when there's some bigger games, for example, I definitely plan on doing a Starfield episode at some point. I'd love to do a Starfield review.
Yeah.
A couple weeks after, maybe in one of those off weeks.
Mm-hmm.
record one. Have some discussions around some of the bigger first party games
Yeah.
in off weeks. But all we really have to worry about this year is Starfield. That's
Well,
all.
we got Forza in there.
I'm not too worried about Forza. Forza, I shan't be touching. So, all of you who are very excited for Forza, kudos. But it's not a Forza Horizon, so it doesn't tickle my pickle.
I think I'm one of the few people who actually prefers the regular one over Horizon in terms of just like normies.
You and Johnny are both pretty excited for this new Forza. He's been talking about it. I mean, for years now, since the first reveal, he's been like, "Oh, thank God!" Like he's just been waiting. He
Yeah.
likes Horizon, but he really likes motorsports. So,
Yeah, I don't really care for the open world racing game, especially when there's like too
I
many
do.
open worlds now,
I
right?
love it.
Like I just like I
I
don't
love
need a
it.
racing game.
I do think that I think Mexico, like Forza Horizon 5 is such a great racing game, but it's like my least favorite location so far, I think.
Hmm.
I think that they did because 2 was based on Italy. And then 3 was Australia and 4 was the UK. I think Australia is still my favorite in terms of biomes.
Mm.
You
What
had a
was that,
little
3?
bit of everything.
Was that 3?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Three is my personal favorite. That's what launched Horizon into the stratosphere too.
Hmm.
Um so
Yeah.
but this is not the Xbox casuals. This is the Tower casuals.
It is. So you guys can find that on Tuesdays on your favorite podcast feed and later
Yes.
on YouTube, on the Tower Casuals YouTube channel. So
And
just
we've included some of the I believe we brought over some of the older episodes that we did too. Some of the E3 talk.
there's a bunch of like,
Corey had a great interview with Jeff Gardner.
yeah, that was cool. We're trying to get him back on. He says he wants to. So I'm trying to get in touch with his PR person, but his PR person is not messaging me back. But
Jeff, for those of you who don't know, was one of the lead designers on Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, on Skyrim, and for Fallout 3 and 4.
mhm. He's
He was there
also,
all the way up through 76.
yeah, he was the project lead on 76, and he left pretty shortly after that game launched to
Mhm.
form Something Wicked Games, which I have a cool water bottle right here from them.
We were really looking forward to their first game.
Yeah,
So.
weird song, looks cool, sounds cool. Haven't seen anything from it yet, just art. But
No,
anyways,
definitely waiting for that one.
yeah. Anyways, Tower Casuals, Destiny, state of the game, Josh. It's they teed it up yesterday, and we hit the rough, we'll say.
That was that was an announcement kind of out of nowhere. Joe Blackburn just casually tweeted it out and was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, State of the Game dropping tomorrow." Um, I want to say a few things before we dive into this. I've reread this a couple of times now. I don't think it's as much of a catastrophe as I was bemoaning this morning, but it's still pretty bad. It's bad. And I
It
think it largely depends on what you're looking for in the state of the game at this point.
Yeah, it kind of read. So I read it today on my lunch break, and I was like,
Mm,
"There's like there's like really nothing here that we didn't already kind of know, right?"
yeah,
And like, I mean, the big thing too is like, okay, there's one multiplayer map coming, and they're kind of letting Gambit run its course, I guess. It's just like a bunch of weird stuff, to be honest.
this is kind of confirming a lot of things we already knew about and some stuff that was getting rumored.
Yeah,
But most of this is stuff that we've kind of known. There really isn't anything new here that we didn't know from the last 6 months. There's some good quality of life changes, which it's towards the end. So I was already in such a bad mood by the time I read through the first 3 quarters of this that I couldn't even like celebrate some of the positives that we see.
hmm,
I think some of the reasoning and rationale in this is bush league. To put it mildly, I think it's kind of bullshit, frankly. Um, and it makes me wonder, like, whoever wrote some of these blurbs, because Joe said yesterday he did not write a lot of this. That he had various teams write up blurbs and submit them essentially because he's heads down working on the final shape. And man,
hmm.
I'll just say this, and I'm sure we're gonna say it a couple times throughout this. I'm still really excited for the 22nd. I'm really excited for that showcase, but man, the showcase for Final Shape is now looming as probably one of the most important days in the history of the franchise, and that's not a good thing. That's not
Yeah,
a positive thing at this point. We
It's
should
so
never have that high of an expectation on a reveal.
it's so crazy how, like, the highest of highs on the Witch Queen, right?
Yeah,
And then, like,
it's just been like
probably
this. It's been steadily downhill since.
starting probably around Plunder, right? Like, people started being like, "Oh, no. Okay, well, Plunder is a season we can probably
Yeah,
take off a little bit." And then, moving into, Lightfall, the campaign was kind of like,
not good.
yeah. And then then the seasons after, like, the stories and stuff, the reveals were great, but, like, the seasons haven't been.
Defiance, yeah, Defiance was the definition of okay. Like the seasonal event was fine. The story sucked.
Yeah, but I mean, and
I
then, like,
felt no
this.
emotion beyond Amanda, and then you get to this season. I actually, and I will defend this season. I think this season has actually been very good. And they talk at length about seasons and their philosophy behind seasons in this post. I actually agree with them that like, hey, they're giving themselves a pat on the back for this season. I agree. I agree. I think that the roguelike components in deep dives is fascinating. And that has actually added a new dynamic to the gameplay. I think hiding the exotic mission in there was cool. It's a cool mission, even if it is kind of overtuned in terms of difficulty. And then I mean, salvage is just kind of there as your arena mode. Like, I actually don't mind all that. It's become more about how the story is being delivered at this point, which it sounds like they're really going to shake that up. Um, I think that when we look at, I think you hit the nail on the head first off with
Mhm.
Plunder. I think Plunder really was the turning point for me. I was starting to feel a little haunted.
Yeah.
I was exacerbated by night. It's funny. We've now hit the point in the cycle where Haunted was long enough ago that we have people feeling nostalgic for Nightmare Containment.
Oh, no.
Yeah, being like, oh my god, it was the best place to grind out weapons. Oh my god, it was the best to get those crafting golf balls. I can't believe we don't have that activity when they're about to buff the limit to 30 on those. And I'm like, no, we are not retconning how bad
Stop it.
that event was. Stop it. Yeah,
Stop
stop.
it.
I need that gif of the guy with the spray bottle. That's what I need. Like I'm spraying down Destiny fans. But this is the most united I've seen the community in a long time. Was today's state of the game, and it's not the kind of uniting I was hoping for going into it.
Right.
I guess let's just go ahead and dive in. I
Yeah.
want to be really clear. Like I'm gonna sound really negative. I'm not as negative as I may sound, but there are a few areas that it's just like Corey and I have been harping on some of these issues literally for 160 episodes,
Yeah.
and we're still here.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: one of those is PvP maps.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I
But to be fair, the one PvP map they were describing sounds kinda cool,
It
but
sounds cool, but they've
it's
been
one
talking
map
about it for like
in
9
2
fucking
years.
months. Yeah, the only other one that we got was Shit Junction. So I don't. Anyway, all right. Anyways, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna start here. So ritual updates. We're gonna skip the 3 or 4 paragraphs we get to begin. This thing is 7,000 words long, by the way. It's 7,000 words for a lot of nothing.
Yeah, it was kinda long for, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it needed to be a long post, and anyways, ritual updates. We've heard plenty of feedback from players that our core ritual playlist should feel more consistently rewarding to play, and that those rewards should drop more frequently, regardless of the activities you like to play. We agree. Let's talk about what we've done so far and what we're doing in season 22 to achieve this. We're not going to cover season 22. You guys know how the game works. We're loading up ritual vendors with fresh weapons in season 22. We talked about these weapons last week or the week before. This is how we're making our core rituals more rewarding overall. But what are we doing for each specific area? Let's start with PvP. So we're jumping right into the fire. I don't think that giving us a new weapon or two for each playlist is necessarily making more rewarding.
No, definitely
Um,
not.
so
Even if they're reworked weapons, right? Isn't one of them a reworked weapon? And, like, a new,
yes,
yeah.
several of these are
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
reworked. Fan favorites back in our ritual playlist, including the Igneous Hammer Solar Hand Cannon in Trials, and revamping Warden's Law into a brand new archetype as a Nightfall reward. I want to say that, like, I think that when you talk about adding new weapons, that works for something like Trials and for Nightfalls. That works because you can only get those on limited weeks.
sure.
That
Yeah.
works. But when we talk about the overall health of these 3 core playlists, as we're going to get into here, it really feels like the complaints and like the almost downright begging that hardcore Destiny players have had for years on these is just falling on deaf ears. It really feels like there's a huge disconnect between the leadership at Bungie and the people who are actually playing the game.
Yeah.
And PvP is absolutely where that is felt. So let's get into PvP. The most frequent feedback we see is that there's just not enough new PvP content, specifically new maps. Yes, 100%. We have had to set the record straight, and I'm not talking about reprised maps that they've brought back from earlier in Destiny 2 or they borrowed from Destiny 1. We have had 2 new maps since the launch of Shadowkeep.
Yep.
And that was that Shit Junction, and the second one isn't even out yet. The second one comes out in 3 weeks.
Wait, which one's Shit Junction? The one
Disjunction. The one on the Throne World.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
absolute just worst map ever.
Yeah. The one they introduced with like that one game mode, I guess, right?
Yeah, they introduced it with Rift.
Yeah.
Rift is like the one mode it works for.
Does it though?
Here's the, like one of the most absolutely egregious paragraphs in the entire thing, and this is I knew how mad I was going to be when I looked over and saw I wasn't even like an eighth of the way through the scroll bar for this article.
Yeah.
To set expectations, our studio structure is built to support more overarching updates to PvP like the ones above, such as revamp of trials, new game modes, new rewards, matchmaking improvements, etc., etc. When we do focus our resources on building new Crucible maps, it comes with the trade-off of multiple teams' bandwidth on work that contributes to a variety of experiences that players also hold dear, such as new story or exotic mission content, core activities to make up the foundation of each season, or new destinations. Similarly, bringing back reprised maps also involves extensive porting to the latest version of Destiny 2, which requires additional resources to ensure the maps work correctly for multiple game modes and playstyles for years to come. Pause. I'm going to backseat game dev here for a second. How on earth are you one of the most successful first-person shooters on the planet and have been for 8 or 9 years now, and you have not yet started to understand you need a support studio making maps?
Right.
Corey?
Yeah.
Who builds support maps for Halo?
Certain Affinity does sometimes.
Yep.
The Coalition has helped out a little bit on some things.
Who helps the Coalition out with maps, Corey?
Let's see.
Certain Affinity.
Yeah.
Certain Affinity helps out. Corey, how many support studios work on Call of Duty maps every year?
Every team that's not
High Moon Studios, who used to make them for Destiny.
Yeah.
Makes maps.
Let's see. Toys for Bob.
Toys for Bob.
You know, I mean
Raven
sort of.
Demonic.
Beanox.
Yep. Basically every studio that's not Infinity Ward, Treyarch, or Sledgehammer. And even they work on their own maps too, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They are now owned by Sony. And they literally have studios that do support for games.
We're getting there. So you beat me to the punch, because that was going to be my next point there. You have an entire group of support studios. Now, granted, they are probably busy working on whatever Sony, whatever Sucker Punch is doing. They're probably working on Sucker Punch and helping get Spider-Man 2 out the door right now, in all frankness. Okay? And that's fine. Those are high priority projects. Okay. I just want to know how Bungie has time to go and critique everybody else's multiplayer experiences, but doesn't have time to get their own house in order. Yeah, I'm not one of those who buys into the conspiracy of, oh my God, they've just, they just want us all to focus on Marathon, but it really is starting to feel like Destiny PvP we all know it took a backseat a while ago, but the reason why the sentiment is so bad around PvP now, in addition to the cheating, the wall hacks, how bad the meta feels right now. Immortal Cloud Strike is all it is in high-end lobbies, whether you're playing on PC or console. And just how the matchmaking feels in a lot of ways. Like, it just feels bad all across the board. On top of that, you have the PvP team that was making Crucible so good for years and years and years. The bulk of the guys that led that team are either not at the studio anymore or are working on Marathon. And Marathon's reveal definitely left a sour taste in people's mouths. I don't think that the sentiment would be as bad. We'd just be like, business is normal, if Marathon had not already been revealed.
Right.
I think that's I really truly like I'm gonna keep my belief that that was a Sony mandated thing and not a Destiny mandated thing, or Destiny man Bungie mandated thing. The fact that we've only gotten 2 new maps, and we've gotten, I think, like probably 2 or 3 ported maps at this point from either old versions of Destiny 2 or from Destiny 1, Cathedral Dusk being one. We know that oh, what is it? There's another map coming later on. Citadel is coming
Mm-hmm.
back.
So
I
that's
love
coming back.
Citadel.
Yeah.
Citadel's a great fucking map. But the fact that we're not getting maps at a consistent pace is absurd. And here's the part that insults me the most, I think. To make maps comes with the trade-off of multiple teams' bandwidth that contributes to a variety of experiences that players hold dear, such as new story or exotic mission content. Why
Can
are
mm,
campaign and exotic mission teams building multiplayer
That's
maps?
what I was about to say. Why don't you just have a dedicated PvP team? Like, even if it's small, even if
They
it's like
did.
20 or 30 people. I know they did.
They did. And to be fair, like they do still have a PvP team of some kind, but as they say, like it's more built just to support what's already there, not to
Yeah.
add content.
It sounds more like a balancing type team instead of a
Yes.
map building team,
Oh, it
right?
is. It 100% is. And so that leads me to the thing of you guys need to go, they need to go out and they need to find support studios to help them build maps or help them build assets, because it's no coincidence that one of the best times in Destiny 2. I'm not going to say the best because the Witch Queen was pretty goddamn good. I think everything, like Beyond Light was rocky, but that whole year of seasonal content was really solid.
Hmm.
With Chosen and Splicer and Lost, the 30th anniversary, we got
Yeah.
the dungeons and things like that. And I don't want to hear from Bungie that, well, we could always just, take away one of the extra dungeons you get a year and have that team building maps. That's not how this should work. You have so many people working at that studio. Like, I'm sorry, you should have made sure that your flagship product, the pillar of your studio, was well supported before you started pulling people off to go build a new game. And I'm all for expanding your horizons, building something you're passionate about building. Maybe you had to do that to keep some of your lead creatives. I don't know.
Hmm.
But you took 2 of the guys that were responsible for Forsaken in Chris Barrett and Scott Taylor, and you moved them over to, or let them move over to make Marathon,
Yeah.
which has been pre-pro for a couple of years now. And I mean, there are Marathon developers catching flack today, and that's not at all what I'm saying here. And if you're one of those people, fuck you. But this is a very real problem.
Yeah.
This is a real problem. I don't understand how you can't get maps. Like Beyond Light has been out for almost 3 years now. We still don't have a map on Europa in
Which is
any game.
shocking.
It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. You could and I mean, like, again, at the risk of backseat game developing, I people called for this for years, and I can't believe that I'm actually gonna agree with them. I think Halo Infinite has proved you need a Forge style mode. If you're a single studio building and supporting your own game, you need a Forge style mode.
Yeah.
And I mean, because think about some of the community creations you could see in
Yeah.
this game, and then you could have like a featured map or something like each season that's going to get added to the rotation, or
Hmm.
added to like permanent. You can choose it at any time, and custom games. It's automatically
Yeah.
downloaded as part of the game client.
I mean,
Custom games browsers.
you could almost do like, you could almost do kind of what it did with Doom 2016, the snap map stuff, where like,
Yeah,
okay, here are like the different planets and the here's the palette of assets for these planets, and you can snap them together to build different types of, you know, okay, here's Europa. Okay, you have this kind of like, you can alter the terrain a little bit, but here's like the assets that we use on Europa, you know, go to
right.
town. Almost like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like build your own skate park type thing. Obviously it's way
Yeah,
more complicated than
I
that now,
mean,
but like,
Corey, we had Forge back in 2007
I know.
from the same studio.
I know.
It's one of those things. Like I don't understand what you guys are trying to do here. Like there is no scenario in which you should be telling us, well, we can build you maps, but you're gonna have to sacrifice story for it. No, why can't both sides thrive? Like the PvE side has largely thrived for years now.
Mhm.
We've been saying since the beginning of this show, hey, some love has to be given to PvP. And I understand PvE had to get fixed in a really, really bad way. Post Witch Queen, there's no reason why you couldn't have had established teams working on maps.
Mhm.
There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason. I it's phrases, it's paragraphs like this in this post that make me really worried for the future of Destiny beyond the final shape.
Hmm.
And I haven't felt worried until now.
Right.
I'm not trying to be reactionary or doom scrolling or anything. I know there's some people in our community who are like, hey, I'm pretty okay with the state. I'm pretty okay with what the state of the game said. And hey, if that's your if that's your prerogative, that's cool. Like I'm not gonna jump on anybody or call anybody a Bungie shill or anything like that. But I pretty strongly disagree. I think that this is really rough. Like, and we're gonna keep moving because there's so much to cover here. But
Yeah,
it
this PvP
frustrates
stuff.
me.
This PvP stuff, like, not that I'm like the biggest PvP guy, but like PvP kind of kept me playing Destiny when there wasn't a lot going on, right?
Right,
And
which
like,
is the point of it.
yeah, and like I actually enjoy Destiny PvP, when
Yep.
I was, playing it kind of semi regularly, if there wasn't another game out or I just wanted to play with some friends, right? But like now I'm like I don't even I it hasn't changed at all, literally. Like, I feel like I've been playing the same maps. A lot of the times I get like the Destiny 1
Yep.
revamped maps, and it's like I've been doing this for 9 years at this point
Well,
in some
that's
of
what I
these
was
maps.
that's what I was telling our friend Johnny earlier. I was like, man, I've been playing some of these maps since the first beta,
Yeah.
and I'm really, really tired of like what is it that it was Shores of Time
Mhm.
in D1. It was the Venus map.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm tired of that map. Cathedral Dusk coming back made me groan.
Yeah.
Anomaly, Cauldron, those were D1 maps. Some of the Mercury ones, some of the
And
just there's a few others like
like those are great things to kind of like offset
yeah.
like new maps, but you're not giving new maps either. So like
Well,
it,
and that's my thing. Like I'm
and
not saying like, oh, I need new maps every single season. I know that that is unsustainable.
no,
But
but I
I
mean
don't
like one new map like every 6 months or something, like is that
well, and
unsustainable?
that's the cadence they said they were going to try to get into was they wanted to alternate seasons like a new map, reprise map, and they haven't even hit that yet. It has been over a year since Disjunction was put in the game.
Mhm.
And in that time we've gotten one reprise map.
Yeah.
One.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to read what they say because there's a lot of PvP here. We have some exciting content coming to PvP this month that several teams have brought to life. An update on our advances in game security combat cheaters. Preview upcoming sandbox shakeups and more details coming next week on how the general PvP sandbox gear and ability balance will evolve. For season 22, we have a Vex Network themed map debuting, along with new Relic 6v6 mode, gunplay focused checkmate, modifier for multiple modes, a new competitive Ascendant Division emblem, and more. Relic and Checkmate will both kick off in Crucible Labs throughout the season so we can gather feedback on how they are received. We'll have more to share in the showcase, but let's dive in now. That's another common phrase that you see a lot throughout this. We have more to share at the showcase.
Yeah.
Like, thanks. Fucking show us. Don't tell us.
Right.
This map does look really cool. But a lot of people have pointed out that this also is kind of just like a Vex Network overlay of an existing Destiny 1 map.
Yeah, I think it even mentions it in this thing at some
Oh,
point.
does it really? I
Yeah.
didn't even realize that, honestly. I
Yeah.
was so mad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like right after the picture that they show of it, I think.
Interesting. Okay. Um yeah, I thought about bringing the Mars palette into the Vex network realm would be a great way to mitigate this while adding an evocative look.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, checkmate. Checkmate sounds really cool. I've been asking for checkmate for a while, and for something like checkmate for a while.
Mhm.
A modifier in which where rich primary weapon fights can happen more often, and gun skill can be augmented by communication and strong positioning. Primary weapon damage has been tuned to feel different than the rest of the game without being jarring, reducing the gap between the faster killing weapons and average time to kill, and in general pushing longer range primaries into slower killing profiles. Player health has been increased, all ability cooldowns are lengthened, and special ammo must be earned via gunplay and is not dropped on death. This all results in slightly longer combat encounters that reward skill and consistency. I'm extremely excited about this. I really
Mhm.
love this. I will definitely be playing this. Um, Checkmate will be available in Crucible Labs from week 5 to 10. We'll start off with 2 weeks of Checkmate Control, then 2 weeks of Survival, and 2 weeks of Checkmate Rumble to finish off the trial run. Cool. Not a whole lot to say there. It's a gunplay focused mode, which a lot of people, casuals and hardcore alike, have been asking for a while. I
Mhm.
really would love to see this modifier in trials when they get it right.
Yeah.
Um, Relic. This one, I'm genuinely excited. And this is the conversation John and I were having earlier. He was like, "Oh well, I'm stoked for the modes." I was like, "Yeah, I'm stoked for the modes," but everything that came before that really dampened my excitement.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to get excited when I'm playing on maps that I played in 2014.
Yeah.
I digress. Relic is a 6v6 party mode where players wreak havoc and destruction on their foes with relic weapons. Relics include the Aegis from Vault of Glass, the Synaptic Spear from Season of the Risen, and the Scythe from Season of the Haunted. Each player charges their personal relic energy by defeating opponents with their normal loadout. Upon reaching full charge, players can acquire a relic from a relic depot. Defeating relic holders and using the relics to defeat opponents earns points for the team. While Checkmate is heavily focused on gunfights, Relic is intended to provide lighthearted gameplay that can be enjoyed by anyone, similar to Mayhem and Team Scorched. That's what I like to hear. I like that we're getting a more hardcore mode and we're getting a party mode.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep.
Because I don't like Team Scorched. I love Mayhem though, so I'm actually really excited for this. Matchmaking improvements. I'm not even going to bother reading this because this is pretty much the exact same thing that they told us a year ago.
Yeah.
Literally the exact same thing. More to come in season 23. Of course, season 23 is the final season of the Year of Lightfall. So in December, we're planning to deliver a new Iron Banner mode along with a brand new Hake Aggressive Frame Strand Pulse Rifle as our newest competitive division weapon reward. That's how you get me to play comp right there. The Mercurial Overreach Adaptive Frame Arc Sniper Rifle will remain available for competitors throughout season 22. As a reminder, we're also focusing our map reprisal efforts on porting the Citadel from 2018 to Crucible in season 23. Oh boy, I do like Citadel, but I'd take a new map anytime. If it's the choice between bringing something back and giving me a new map, I'll take a new map every single time.
Yeah, especially now.
Especially now here at the end. Let's talk about the one playlist that actually got some decent love and that I don't have a lot to complain about: the Vanguard playlist. Vanguard medals will be available in Vanguard Ops and Nightfall starting in Season 22. After being introduced in last year's Guardian games and then continued success in this year's event, we've decided to bring them into full-time to spice things up in the Vanguard playlist. Great. Don't know why they weren't here to begin with.
Yeah.
They will contribute to scoring, allowing players to attain higher scores and reputation modifiers by performing unique actions and doing cool things. The goal here is to reward players for playing well and not require players to go out of their way to grind for score. In short, we don't want you to feel like you have to compromise your build in order to boost your score with additional medals. It's worth noting some medals will remain Guardian game staples and not available in our Vanguard playlist. Don't expect finishers to grant you a medal in Nightfalls. There'll be several new medals specific to Vanguard playlists when they launch, and you can expect to see a few more in Season 23. Additionally, the selection of active medals will be determined based on currently active modifiers, such as surges, to ensure a variety of builds are used for acquiring medals. Cool. That sounds like fun. That's a way to spice up a very stale playlist. And we've also recently focused more of our team's resources into more varied and frequent seasonal activities, such as Battlegrounds, that can later make their way into Vanguard playlists alongside Strikes and eventually serve as new additions to Nightfall and Grandmaster playlists. This has come at the cost of other content in a given year. We feel this exchange has been worth the extra investment for the overall health of our playlist. As a result, we'll have additional Battlegrounds coming into Nightfall and Grandmaster rotations in seasons 22 and 23. I want to speak on that real quickly because that goes back to the allocation of resources. Last year, we had, or excuse me, in the last 18 months, we have had 3 seasons with Battlegrounds in them. Cool it on the Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you have content that can endure, and it helps with explaining story and things like that. And I do think that the 3 seasons that got it do help with understanding those stories. We're probably getting another season of Battlegrounds before the final shape. That's what this paragraph is essentially telling me.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like that's what's happening.
I don't mind that being the seasonal activity, but it's just like grinding Strikes. I get really tired after I've done them each like a dozen times.
Yeah.
And then knowing that they're going to be in the playlist like forever, it's like, oh god.
Right.
Oh god. Anyway, so I don't know. I feel some sort of way about this. I would rather it be content that sticks around. I see no reason why like Deep Dive can't remain a permanent activity, for instance. But Salvage can go away. I'm not clamoring for Salvage to stay. Similarly, a lot of us would really like to see Menagerie and Sundial and what was the stupid thing during Splicer? The Vex activity during Splicer. I don't remember the name of it, but everybody you know when you see it. I think I think those 6-player modes can endure. You can throw Catch Crash in there. You can take the expunges that were 3-man activities and bring them forward. Like I've argued for a 6-person activity rotator mode for a while now.
Mhm.
And I think that this just kind of emphasizes it. Why can't all of this content just come forward in the form of playlists?
Right.
I don't understand why. Like, there's an opportunity for lots of rich rewards to be in there, especially if you like guarantee red borders out of there, or you can guarantee like bonus reward weeks or something.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to love there. So, but I'm backseat game developing. Let's talk about Gambit, Corey.
Do we have to?
Yep, Bungie remembered Gambit exists.
No, they didn't.
It's only been like 3 years.
No, I don't think they remembered it exists. I think they remembered that they forgot about it. The way this thing
That's
reads.
probably a more apt description. As many of you may have noticed, we've been quiet on Gambit since last year's overhaul that launched alongside the Witch Queen. The updates that we launched did not move the needle for player engagement. Although we know our Gambit fans mostly care about new or returning maps, this scenario of the game with lower engagement that would take resources away from more popular parts of the game to shore up. While we don't have plans to dedicate more resources to significantly transform Gambit, we do have a few updates planned for the year of the final shape. Not even launch, for the year of the final shape. These include porting the Cathedral Scars map and its beautiful Dreaming City setting into the latest version of Destiny 2, as well as adding the Shadow Legion and Lucian Hive enemy types. I'm fine with adding those types and adding an old map. Gambit has not had a new map since Season of the Drifter, which was 6 months after Gambit was put into the game and Forsaken. It is completely and wholly inexcusable. That's something that you held up as a core activity, and it's even listed here with the core activities. Gets this little attention. They're like, well, people aren't playing it, so we're not going to bother fixing it. We're not playing it because it sucks so much ass. That's why we're not playing it.
Yeah.
Like I probably haven't touched Gambit in a year now.
Yeah.
The last time I played it, I think, was Season of the Haunted, maybe Plunder. But I didn't even feel the need to grind it out before Root of Nightmares day one because the Legendary campaign got me there. I may have played a couple matches that season, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
And then they're going so far as to say, oh, don't even bother playing this anymore.
I know.
We're making Gambit entirely optional to maximize your rewards unless you're looking for a piece of gear that's specific to the mode. Gambit will continue to serve as a source of exotic engrams via weekly challenges, though, as mentioned above, you will be able to complete all your weekly challenges in any ritual you'd like starting in Season 22. If you want to stick to Vanguard or Crucible challenges without touching Gambit, now you can. We're also reducing the number of Gambit-specific seasonal challenges starting in Season 22, so players won't need to bank motes to be able to earn that big purse of Bright Dust for completing nearly every challenge. Finally, we're adding Fireteam matchmaking to Gambit next season, which will replace the freelance node and should result in faster, better matchmaking by combining both Gambit playlists. Keep an eye on reception and player engagement after these additions take place, and hope you'll visit Drifter next season. Get your hands on his new Void LMG. That just pathetic. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's pathetic. I'm not exactly clamoring to play Gambit anymore, but at this point, just take it out of the game.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's time.
Like, it's time. It's a disservice to the mode at this point. And it's a truly unique mode, too, which frustrates me.
Yeah.
I loved getting a group of 4 together and playing Gambit.
Yeah. I mean, I think, especially now, if they're kind of admitting defeat on this, essentially, like, you're taking resources away from other things now, too, right? To keep it remotely playable now, right? Like, I mean, I feel like it just needs to go.
As John and I were talking about earlier, he's like, I would have been incensed if they had announced a new Gambit map given the state of PvP. And listen, I've long asked for the 2 maps that were taken out for no reason, by the way, from Gambit to make a comeback. And even I find myself here going, couldn't you have just spent that time can't you just spend that time making a new PvP map instead of porting Cathedral over? I don't know. Maybe I'm just too jaded at this point, Corey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about armor. Oh man. Oh. Woo. Here's the other one that got this one got me and a lot of other players kind of hot. Armor rewards. A long time ago, we shared a plan to address concerns on reward balance. And sure enough, this was 3.5 years ago. Which is wild, by the way. Sorry, I gotta find my place again. I clicked on the link.
3.5 years ago.
May 7th, 2020 was when we got this. So not exactly 3.5 years ago, but yeah, it was rough. This was when they announced Transmog, as a matter of fact. And in this, core playlist rewards changes. We're adding a new set of armor for the core playlist: Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible. This armor shares a set of new geometry with decals and shader specific activity. We will create new sets like this each year, and this set will arrive alongside the next expansion. This was in season 12, by the way. Season 12 is when they were talking about this. So this was, let's see, 2020.
2.5 years ago.
I mean, over 3 years ago. 2020. We're in 2023. This was in the lead up to Beyond Light for those keeping score at home.
Huh.
So we got sets of armor, generic sets of armor at the 3 vendors in both Beyond Light and the Witch Queen. And then they kind of forgot that it existed, Corey.
Oh boy. A lot of
They forgot that it existed because the very next sentence, players have pointed out we did not release a new armor set for the ritual playlists with Lightfall as previously called out in our yearly release schedule. Here's the part that makes me mad. Delivering ritual armor sets at the rates we have in the past has become increasingly challenging, especially considering these sets have historically had very low adoption by players as both base armor and cosmetic ornaments. Because they look like shit!
Yeah.
They look so bad. Imagine listen, I truly love the artists at Bungie, but imagine they were allowed to have an ounce of the creativity for those armor sets that they're allowed to have for the Eververse, or for the seasonal activities, or for the seasonal ornaments, or for the holiday events. Imagine that even a fraction of that, because that's like they're notably the only like super poor sets in the entire game are those 3 vendor sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We went from having a unique set at each vendor in years 1 and 2, and even in year 3, to nothing.
Yeah.
Now we're not even getting anything.
Yeah.
And it's less that I'm mad about that and more of they just gave up. This is admitting defeat. And if you don't have the resources to make a generic set of armor for year 3, you already took away, 60 something % of the work by only making 1 set of armor. Yeah. It's not like you're developing a Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit set of armor, and the Gambit armor in Forsaken was bitchin', by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But way back when, you got new armor every season.
Yeah. I want to know, like,
I want to know why we can continue to get these paid armor sets and we can't get stuff in the base game.
I want to know kind of what's going on with these teams, because it feels, and I don't want this to sound like mean or rude to the developers, because I know they're all working hard and trying to deliver the best experience possible.
There's a point for brutal honesty, though.
But it just feels like some of this stuff is being like hysterically mismanaged in a lot of ways, and like,
Corey, we're not even halfway through this post yet.
Yeah, I know. And a studio as large as Bungie, right? Like, and I know they have other projects in the works and stuff, but like,
and that's fine.
They should. It. But like, you can take your time on those, but right now the game that's making you money should probably be, a priority in a lot of ways, especially since like a lot of your projects that you're working on aren't even announced and are, I don't know, man. It just feels a lot of things are kind of like, what's going on over there, And I'm not trying to like be mean to the developers or anything, but like you said, they took out 60% of the work and like one armor set with like, okay, this one has a V on it, this one has a snake on it, and this one has a phoenix on it. Okay, well, make a cool armor set that could be cool in all 3 facets, right?
I think it would actually be kind of cool if you earned a generic armor set, just from playing activities, and then you got special ornaments for it each year. I think that actually could be a really cool approach.
Yeah.
But for them to basically say, well, we made armor so bad that nobody wants to, and so ugly that nobody wants to wear it.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're going to punish you by taking, armor out of the. My problem is that's part of the loot. That's part of the loot pool. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, this is a game that is driven by loot, and whether that be fashion or stats or in terms of weapons, playability, like you need rewards.
Mhm.
And we've already one of the biggest complaints that we've had over the past couple of years has been so much of the cool stuff is locked behind Eververse. And like, listen, I know that I have praised the recent dungeon sets. I
Mhm.
think that the fact that we got the cowboy armor in a dungeon and not in Eververse is shocking.
Yeah.
That floors me.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they did not charge $15 for that, frankly.
Yeah, but in the dungeon before that, we got like reprised Haka
We got
armor.
Hawkeye armor. Yeah, I know. And it's like the duality of man, right?
Yeah.
This season in Ghost of the Deep, we got some of the best armor we've ever gotten in the entire game.
Yeah.
And Root of Nightmares, I think you can kind of question the choice, but at least it's unique. These are unique sets of armor. I look at what has been available in the Eververse over the past year and a half, 2 years. The elemental sets like the Void, the Arc, and the Solar ones that we got. I don't see any reason why those couldn't have been earnable in game
Mhm.
at some point.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't those have been earnable? You know?
Yeah.
Why, we got the PlayStation, you got the PlayStation. This is why when people are like, Josh, why don't you want crossovers? They have put more effort into the crossover than they have into the base game. And that bothers me. And I don't know if that's a mandate coming from on high or what, because the Fortnite deal we know was struck before. And I was okay with that. Okay, fine. Whatever. Then you have the Assassin's Creed set, and then you have the PlayStation set. And yes, those are cool. I shouldn't have to pay 20. I should not have to pay $20 to look cool in the game
Yeah.
for a set of armor ornaments. I think that's completely egregious. I mean, I can go to Fortnite and pay less for a character, right? I can pay $20 and get a whole bundle of cosmetics related to a franchise.
Yeah.
Um it's really disappointing to see, and then they double down on it. At this time, we are amending our delivery plans for how often we refresh these sets, so we'll no longer be creating a new set for every expansion. We are prioritizing the delivery of a new ritual armor set alongside the final shape to infuse some new looks you'll be able to show off from your time in the Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit playlists. We also have a new set for Trials of Osiris releasing in just a few weeks, and to be fair, this Titan armor looks bitchin'. I love this Trials armor in this set. It's simplistic. It's a bear themed set. I think this looks really cool. No giant shoulders, Corey. You should
Yeah,
be
no.
excited.
I know. It does look cool. I think this is probably the coolest it's looked since the Egyptian armor that said,
And then you realize that it's Trials, and you're gonna have a hard time getting it.
"Nah, we'll figure it out."
I think when it's something so simple as, and like this is such, I know some people are gonna listen to this and be like, Josh, you are harping on like the tiniest thing here. It's because something so small and so simple as this should not fall by the wayside. You're gonna tell me you can't divert an artist or two to come up with some looks real quick,
Right.
like, and then get those designed and implemented in the game? Like, I cannot imagine that takes away radically from anything else. I'm sorry that it might have to eat into the exotic or the legendary ornaments that work with our exotics in the Eververse. I'm so sorry you might not be able to charge $8 for a fucking ornament, you know,
Yeah.
for a season. If that's the trade off, then give me the fucking armor.
Yeah.
The decisions that are being made are really, and I again, like, I have to question, like, is this, we know Bungie is technically separate from SIE. Is this a Sony decision or is this a Bungie decision? Because this feels like a fucking Bungie decision, and that's really gross to me.
Yeah.
That's really gross and egregious, especially when you look at like the customization that we've had in past Bungie games going on. Like, look at the customization you had in Halo Reach.
Right.
You look at the customization you have in other games, and it's like, yeah, I love the Destiny armor. I love the looks. Why am I having to pay $20 for cool armor though? I should be able to earn cool shit just by playing. And by playing, yes, I understand the coolest shit should come from the end game. It should not come from the store. It should come from the fucking end game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. We've harped on this before. There's no armor ornaments for comp.
Nope.
That would get people in there. There's no armor ornaments for Gambit. That would get people in there. There's no special armor ornaments for Grandmasters. I think that would get people in there.
Yeah.
And I think Destiny is one of those games like not everything should be accessible. I think it is okay for things to be exclusive as long as it is not affecting the gameplay. I think it is cool and it is a way to show off, and you should be able to show off beyond just having a fucking emblem.
I mean, it used to
That's
be
why
that
I
way,
love the
though.
Trials glows I love the Trials glows so much.
It used to be that way, though.
I know.
And then people complain, and then when Destiny, like, this was the initial issue with Destiny 2 when it came out, right? Was like,
Yep.
they made the game for everybody, and then the people who like really quote unquote cared about the game like got mad because it turned into a casual kind of friend game, you know?
And I want to be really clear. I'm fine with the game becoming more casual. I've always been okay with it. We are called tower casuals for a reason, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
But
not like
even
complaining about
being
that, but there's stuff that like, okay, the person that plays for like 5 hours a season versus somebody who plays for 100 hours a season should not be able to access the same things.
and I think that I think part of the way God, I can't believe I'm going to defend Bungie here. I think part of the way that they've helped with that kind of feeling, because I felt that way too, is in seasons they give you the armor ornaments towards the end of the pass, and you have to finish the pass to get the cool ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's helped a lot. Like, I mean, the fucking Reaper armor from Haunted, for example, I hated Haunted, but I grinded that season out and made sure I finished it so I could get the Reaper armor because it was so cool and so unique. I'm okay with that being part of something paid because I'm getting story content alongside it. I'm getting modes that I can play with my friends. I'm getting battlegrounds. I'm getting, I'm getting loot pools. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with something that's in the base game. Like, free to play is not an accurate description for this game. It's free to start.
Mm-hmm.
Free to start's a better one. Do we have anything else on armor? We have just so much shit to get through.
I don't have anything else on armor.
I'm gonna skip game security here. There's not a lot there that we haven't talked about before. We've just talking about giant band waves. Same with stability updates. We talked about a lot of this like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And I think they said that they're gonna have a little bit more to showcase on this. So I'm interested in this. So I will read a little bit of the end. They're beginning to do internal chaos testing using a new code, and we're already using that data to make more improvements for the Season 22 launch update. The theme of the Season 23 launch will be helping protect us against stability issues that might occur in the future. Work here will focus on systems like auto recovery, making internal systems healthier and further isolating systems from one another. Cool. Awesome. Let's talk about seasons, because this is the other sore point that we have. We've officially reached the halfway point, by the way, too, because I skipped 2 chunks. Seasonal structure, Corey.
Yeah.
A preview of what's to come. Oh, boy. Before we get into our 6-month progress report on our goals for the year, we want to share some previews of several quality of life upgrades and core sandbox updates coming in Season 22. Some of these are designed simply to make your everyday Destiny 2 experience better. Others should result in substantial meta refreshes for both PvE and PvP. At our midpoint in Lightfall's year, we hope the sum of Season 22's updates, along with the new content we've called out here and everything yet to be revealed in our showcase, will make Destiny 2 feel as fresh and exciting as ever for as many players as possible. I should drink every time they say showcase. I'm serious.
Oh my gosh.
I find it very funny that they're like, oh yeah, we hope you enjoyed. We've told you it's coming so far. No, we haven't. Other than a new map and 2 new modes, what are we getting?
Right.
What are we on? Oh, and excuse me, medals for Vanguard. All right, quality of life upgrades. I'm actually this all genuinely made me very happy because these are so things that we think are simple, but I'm sure like did require a lot of coding on the back end.
Yeah.
Cosmetic favoriting. You'll be able to favorite up to 100 of your favorite shaders, ornaments, and emotes to the top of the list starting in Season 22. Thank fucking God. I'm so tired of scrolling through like 13 pages of shaders. Cool. Stasis aspects and fragments moved to the vendor system. Any character who has completed the Beyond Light campaign will be able to acquire all available stasis aspects and fragments from Elsie Bray on Europa starting next season, and these are going to be 25,000 glimmer apiece. Ladies and gentlemen, I am finally going to get stasis on my Warlock.
Jesus Christ, dude. You know how long we've been waiting for that? Like, especially like...
We have been screaming for this since Season of the Chosen.
Oh my God, dude.
3 years ago.
It's It's
2 years, excuse me, a little over about 2.5 years ago.
it's
For about
about
2.5 years, we've been screaming for this.
it's about time. That's all.
It's about fucking time.
That's
I am genuinely so excited to play as Stasis Warlock now, though.
oh my god.
Transmats will now be unlocks. Here's how little I use transmats. I thought these were unlocks a long time ago. Transmats will now be stored as unlocks on your account rather than consumable items. Feel free to change transmats at will without feeling the need to grab copies from collections or find them in the wild. Wish Ender quest has gone through a number of changes. Starting in season 22, it becomes a real quest. No more charged or uncharged discs sitting in your inventory, just a single quest in your quest log. Resources tab added to collections. We now have a resource tab in collections, which shows you all of the currencies, upgrade materials, and engrams in the game, appropriately categorized with information on how to acquire it, as well as what to do with it once you have it. Why was this not in the game? Why?
Your guess is as good as mine, Josh.
When we had all those fucking currencies, Corey.
I don't know, man.
Dude, I like how they put this in after they get rid of like a third of the currencies in the game and they stop with the seasonal currencies. This would have helped so much in the past.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's here. Iron Banner challenges are being split. Pinnacle rewards not being as big of a draw as they once were season over season since Season of the Deep began. It's time to split Pinnacle acquisition and reputation multipliers we added back in Season of the Haunted. Starting in Season 22, Iron Banner will have 2 different stacking challenges each day. One for players who just want their reputation multiplier, which does not require using specific seasonal subclasses, and one for players who are going after their Pinnacle rewards, which does require seasonal subclasses. Maybe this will shake things up. I think they realized that bubble meta is really bad.
Yeah.
So cool. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. I was kind of enjoying how it stacked. If I don't have to play 18 fucking matches to get to my max, then great.
Yeah.
Great. Because I don't know if you guys know, 18 Iron Banner matches in a week is a lot. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
I guess if you wager out that each match is, about 10 minutes or so, 18 matches really isn't like that long in the scheme of things. But when you add in matchmaking times, trips to the tower, disconnection issues, things like that, I mean, that's like 4 or 5 hours of game time. And for an average person, 4 or 5 hours, that's a lot to invest.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. That's a couple of evenings for the average player, I think.
Yeah.
And then ritual rank ups immediately. You're going to start getting, you'll get rewards right away. You won't have to wait.
Great.
So cool, whatever. Sandbox updates. I am excited to talk about some of these sandbox updates too. We're going to go through these pretty quickly though. At the start of season 22, we're adding 3 new strand aspects.
Ooh,
cool. So they're basically following what they did with Stasis. These aspects will be the Whirling Maelstrom for Hunter, Banner of War for Titans, and Weave Walk for Warlocks. Stay tuned for more info as we get closer to the launch of the season. I do wonder if that's just going to be like a blog post on the day of Showcase, or if that'll be in a TWID.
You mean they didn't tell you to look for more in the Showcase?
Nope, they did not tell me to look. I cannot drink after this one. Exotic Armor Reworks Part 2. Similar to the first wave of exotic revamps in Season of the Deep, the team is reworking another batch of underused exotic armor pieces in Season 22 to shake things up and give players a new reason to dive into their vaults. Watch for a new Developer Insights article going live next week to cover all the changes we've got coming. So we've got a few things coming before this. We've got this, we've got a PvP article, and we've got, it sounds like Strand info coming before the Showcase.
Yeah.
And I think there's still more down here. New weapon subfamilies. We talked about this. But looking further into the future, we'll be introducing some entirely new weapon subfamilies within the final shape. Tune into the Showcase to get your first look at some of these in action, as well as some other unexpected additions to Destiny 2's arsenal yet to come. The unexpected additions has me excited, if it's not Saladin's fucking War Axe, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I need a War Axe, and I need the Hammer of Proving to be third-person weapons. And then we got a weapon tuning preview here. We've already gone through the mid-season weapon tuning. There is an upcoming weapon balance update article that is also coming. So there's 4 things so far that are coming. And just, God, the next couple weeks are going to be really busy. The high level goals reduce the variance between the optimal engagement ranges of our mid range weapons, which are auto rifles, pulse rifles, and hand cannons. Slightly reduce the active engagement range in Crucible by pulling in the maximum damage fall off distances of many weapons. Um, Nerd is texting me right now over the state of the game. um, so yeah, there's some stuff here. We have hand tuned a small list of exotics and all special weapons with the intention of keeping them near where they are in the live game, as opposed to allowing them to receive outsized buffs or nerfs with these overarching changes. We'll share all the info in the upcoming weapons preview article as well. I had said earlier today that we were going to cover some of the stuff from Massive Breakdowns, Final Pod, the show that Mercules used to do before he went to go work at Bungie itself. Due to us starting really late tonight, I'm actually not going to dive into that. There were a few things that I wanted to highlight out of it. The most notable is double special causing a lot of heavy ammo to drop is coming to an end. That was an unintended bug when they made kinetic weapons unlimited ammo,
Right.
and they just haven't been able to fix it. That is getting fixed. I believe it's next season. So RIP A1 Johnny running double special and just having boatloads of heavy for himself and everybody else. But that does feel, and the explanation we were given on Massive Breakdowns was that they don't want it to be in a special weapon meta, and they feel like we're really getting dangerously close to that.
Yeah.
I can respect that and understand that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be a part of this article. We have other things to look forward to in Season 22. This is not a comprehensive list, but a sneak peek. Hand cannons will see increased reload speeds and PvE damage buffs against minor and major enemies. Sword full power heavy attacks will be usable with any non-zero amount of sword energy, and Sword Guard is being buffed in several areas. Touch of Malice is getting tweaks we think players will enjoy, and perks such as Bipod, Envious Assassin, and Over will become much more useful in Season 22. Full breakdown later this month. All right,
Josh, every time you puff, I'm just like, oh my god.
Dude, I'm drinking my water, but man, my voice is starting to get there.
Yeah.
All right, we are in the final section though, reinforcing our goals for the year. Think of this as our Destiny 2 scorecard. So they've got 4 sections here, and I actually do want to read these and have some light discussions. 1. Expand players' imaginations. In Lightfall and Season of Defiance, we transform many of the ways players typically interact with the game, from core systems and build crafting overhauls to streamlining seasonal currencies. With Season of the Deep, we replaced the typical vendor upgrade model and introduced a new deep dives activity and pressure trials, which represent fresh experiments for D2 that we believe are worth the investment. While there's always room for us to revise and improve, the community's responses reinforce that we're on the right track with norm-breaking efforts like these, and we'll be rolling out something very new and different in Season 23. Without spoiling anything ahead of the showcase, drink. Our next season will be heading into creative territories we've never explored before. We're changing some things up in a big way, including seasonal progression paradigm with an all-new mechanic. All will be revealed August 22nd. Pause. I do think that if we're viewing it from this perspective, I do think they've kind of nailed that. I really do genuinely enjoy some of the things that Neomuna brought. I think the Vex Incursions is really cool. I think the Vex Strike Force is an awesome event. I like Terminal Overload. I like that the world. It's funny, like in terms of enemies, it feels alive. In terms of an actual city, it sucks dick.
Yeah.
I think that doing the Veil containment missions has been cool. I just wish you didn't have to do that like 15 times.
Yeah.
For the players who've done it every week, kudos to you. I'm glad I stopped after week 1. I'll do it the week before the showcase and catch up on everything. I do think that this season, though, like I mentioned earlier, how much I really, really like the deep dives and the pressure trials, and how it feels kind of like I'm playing Hades in a way.
Yeah.
With the upgrades you can choose and whatnot. I really enjoyed that. And I like that it changed up to traditional vendor model where I don't have to run there to get my upgrades and stuff. I can just do it straight from challenges. By week 3, you had them all unlocked, which was really nice. If you were playing the game with any regularity, by the beginning of week 3, you had everything ready to unlock, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool. I wish we could get away from like the traditional vendor track system that every vendor has.
Yeah.
I'd like to eventually get away from that. I think that that's more of a pipe dream. I recognize that you need to have familiar systems in place regardless. But I think maybe for seasonal vendors, there's some room to kind of like shake it up a little bit. And it sounds like, if they really do follow through their promise on something different, I'm curious to see what it is. We're about 2.5 weeks out, so we won't have to wait too long. This is by far the thing that had me perking my ears the most, though. My eyes, I guess. This is the thing that had me the most excited, though. Hearing that there's going to be continued seasonal changes, because I think that's one of the few things they've gotten really right this year.
Yeah.
Is the changes they made with Season of the Deep, and in terms of like environmental storytelling, I think they've genuinely gotten better.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Taking a step back to examine the overall narrative for the year, the team is laser focused on ensuring the connective tissue in our storytelling between seasons 20 to 23 and the final shape is more impactful than last year's seasons were leading up to Lightfall. We took the feedback to heart and loading this year up with important moments designed to capture players' imaginations and move the saga forward with each beat. We've already proven this out in Season of the Deep with the revelations of the Witness's origins, substantial lore drops throughout the season in Neomuna, and the implications where our Guardians go from here after the final mission's cutscene. We know there are some of you who would have preferred to experience these stories during Lightfall's campaign. With those players in mind, we believe the totality of this year's narratives will set the stage for the final shape in ways that a single story beat never could. And to put concerns to rest right now, here's the single most important thing that they said in the entire state of the game. The final shape and its raid, it's notable they're saying the raid, will provide a climactic conclusion to the Light and Dark saga before we look ahead to what comes next in Destiny 2. So that tells me that the seasonal stuff in the final shape is not wrapping up loose ends from Light and Dark. They're immediately just going to be diving in.
Yeah.
That is about the best and I do imagine it'll probably be a wrap-up season, because they'll probably be able to use the caveat of it's technically part of the game. You technically get the season when you buy the expansion.
Right.
We'll see, but that right there gives me a lot of hope and a lot of reassurance.
Yeah.
Because we were wondering this a lot, and a lot of fans have wondered, oh my god, am I gonna have to play an entire year? Like, I do appreciate that a lot of the stuff we found out with the Witnesses' origins and whatnot, and the stuff we found out through Veil Containment, probably could not have fit into Lightfall as a traditional expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think that's any excuse for some of that not to have been in there.
Yeah.
But, and I can't give them too much of a pat on the back. I do enjoy that they did not say Season of Defiance as like a narrative stepping stone, because I think they understand that was really bad.
Yeah.
The only reason that we got really emotional was because it's maybe like the last substantial Lance Reddick moments that we had. And it was really somber that Zavala basically loses his adoptive daughter, which we never really got that connection before, but okay. So yeah, I'll give them kudos. I'll give them kudos on this one. Expanding the player's imagination. I will say that, because, I kind of got the feeling we were picking those upgrades and whatnot. This is something we don't typically see in an FPS.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of reminded me of doing a raid. It's not as impactful as a raid, but it's an idea that was brought in from other types of games, and that's how these games should evolve. There's a reason why Destiny has endured for 9 years.
Right.
Like, they're always doing something new, and I really appreciate it. Like, other games are trying to borrow from them. We've seen the Division try to copy raids. We've seen Call of Duty is trying to do it too, right? And they just haven't gotten it right.
Yeah.
Destiny's the one game that still gets that right, that has gotten it right. I think, like, for all the bitching and moaning, I do think that, like, we have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Bring challenge back to Destiny. I'm sorry, I thought I could say that with a straight face, although we're a bit uneven on this one.
You want to try again, Josh?
Based on general feedback at Lightfall's launch, we feel we achieved this goal. Enemies in Neomuna still pack a punch regardless of your level. Players have been able to steadily climb in power to take on more difficult challenges they may have had a tough time with earlier in the year. Following the success of these changes, we're confirming today we also will not be raising the power level cap in Season 22. This is absolutely them getting ready to tell us at the showcase that power level is gone.
Yeah. I would imagine after either after that initial campaign of the final shape, or like following seasons after, they're just going to eliminate it. I mean, that's what I imagine, right?
I would imagine that with the release of the final shape, it's gone.
Yeah.
I don't even think you're going to have to power up in that. They'll find some other way.
Well, it'll probably be like artifacts and masterworking and like perks and that kind of thing, right?
I will give them credit for this paragraph here. We've seen a ton of positive feedback on this decision from players who appreciate being able to play at their own pace. rather than feeling compelled to chase pinnacles each week. We'll still have plenty of activities where power is crucial, including Master Raid and Dungeon content, Legend and Master Nightfalls, Grandmasters, Legend and Master Solo Lost Sectors, and Trials of Osiris. This will still be the case in Season 22, and your artifact power will still be as important as ever. For those craving even tougher challenges, we raised the bar on Grandmaster difficulty this season with the first PsyOps Battleground GM, which will make an additional appearance before the end of the season. As usual, we'll continue to monitor feedback as we add more Battlegrounds to the Nightfall and GM schedule later in Nightfall's year. I will say that playing at our own pace and not having to grind out pinnacle level, I think is part of what's contributing to lower player numbers this season. Because we don't have, that's one less thing that we have to grind for, going up 10 levels because it's only pinnacles could take me like 2/3 of the season. For a casual player, it could take 2/3 or the entire season. So it's got you tuning in every week. This has given me one less reason to log in, and as such, I've cut my playtime down. It also doesn't help that 3 mega games came out. Four new entries in beloved franchises came out within the last 2 months. With Zelda, with Street Fighter, with Diablo, and with Final Fantasy. So it's, it is what it is, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the pandemic where we got Doom and Animal Crossing, and then like this was kind of it for a hot minute, right?
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, and talk about timing. 2 months into the pandemic is when we get Arrivals. And they put this emphasis on raiding, and all those raids are getting taken out. But I don't know if I've ever seen a community as unified as we were in that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can give them credit for bringing challenge back to Destiny. I think they've tuned it a little too much in the lower activities. In regular ass Vanguard strikes, I think they've tuned it a little too much. I think it needs to be probably brought back down just a little bit. But I have largely enjoyed that the game feels challenging. It's just, I look at something like Ghosts of the Deep and it's like, yeah, it's challenging, but it's because I have to do like 3 or 4 damage phases on these fucking bosses.
Right.
Like the mechanic is already, enough, and like the non-stop spawning enemies and this and that, but man, both bosses in Ghosts of the Deep feel like giant bullet sponges.
Right.
They have more health than Nezzy. Enriching the content. Based on feedback throughout the year, the Witch Queen, we knew players wanted more exotic missions that the community would need to discover on their own. We also heard the request from longtime players to return to previously released exotic missions. In Defiance, we were delivered the Avalon exotic mission with Vexcalibur. Season of the Deep brought the Whetstone exotic mission to deep divers in search of the new Wicked Implement Scout Rifle. And in just a few weeks, we'll be bringing some of the best Destiny 2 content we've ever made with our new exotic mission rotator starting at day 1 of Season 22, which will kick off with the return of Presage to allow you to craft Dead Man's Tale for the first time. After that, Vox Obscura and Operation Seraph Shield will join the rotation, offering their respectable craftable exotic weapons and catalysts as well. We'll have more details on what to expect from the exotic mission rotator in an upcoming TWID blog as we get closer to launch. I will give them credit here. The Avalon mission is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's challenging, and I feel the same way about Whetstone. I think both of these are really, really cool, and you had to go looking for them too. I'll never forget the day that Avalon was put in the game. There was no hint that it was coming or anything. We knew there was an exotic coming at some point. It had, been data mined. It was viewable in collections, things like that. And I was playing with our buddy Andre one day, and it was like right around reset. And he was like, "Hey man, I'm scrolling my Instagram feed, and there's a secret mission in the EDZ." And I was like, I don't know about that. We went there and did the puzzle to unlock the mission. We were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We spent like the next hour and a half doing the mission. And that was one of the coolest things. It reminded me so much of the Whisper of the Worm mission, or of unlocking the Outbreak Perfected mission, unlocking the 0 hour. Like, those were such cool things to be able to unlock, eventually getting the Hawkmoon quest, getting Presage, and things like that. It's so cool because these missions help the world feel alive. And I'm not saying that we should get one of these every season, because I think if you do one every season, that does dilute the specialness of it.
Yeah.
But when we get things like Avalon, and we get things like Seraph Shield, and we get things like not you, Vox Obscura. We get things like Presage. We get things like
but I think that's where you gotta like trust the team to make it
Right.
diversified, right? I mean, like
Right.
that's, you can have like one or two of these cool missions, but then like you can have like the secret timed mission, or like, oh, now I got to go collect these parts in this mission to build this, worm gun, which, not that that gun was cool, but you know what I mean? Like you had to go like do specific things to build it, or, and that's where the diversity of the mission structure comes in.
Right. And it's like, well, this kind of goes back to my earlier complaint about PvP. It's like, I see all this cool shit that we get in PvE, and I can't get a fucking map in PvP.
Yeah.
Really? I would love for them to be able to get a support studio of, like, I don't know, like 30 to 40 people to make, design, and playtest maps, so that they don't even need them to playtest them. Like, Bungie can still playtest them, but like, to allow their teams in house to build these unique experiences. These are the kind of experiences I don't want outsourced.
Hmm.
Like, these missions feel distinctly Bungie, and they each have a different feel. Like, Presage feels like fucking Dead Space.
Yeah. Dude, Presage might be my favorite. One of my
Yeah, we ranked the exotic missions. We
mhm.
ranked them at one point, and our exotic missions, and yeah, I think we were pretty unified that, like, that and 0 Hour and Whisper of the Worm were probably the best.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, now we've got so many more that, at some point in the next, several months, we're going to have to do another ranking, but
Hmm.
it's a good problem to have. So I'm pretty excited about that. To keep going. Oh boy. To recap on the PvP front, we're not recapping that. You guys have already listened. In addition to the new and returning weapons coming to the Crucible, Iron Banner, and Trials playlist, we also have new sandbox overhauls, exotic armor upgrades, and weapon tuning changes to keep the meta fresh, along new ways to play PvP when the season kicks off later this month. We called out back in February we were initially targeting more changes to ritual content in the final season of the year. Here's the last thing that just set me off. They buried this at the end.
Yeah.
While we've made the recent decision to push this initiative to the final shape, we have plans to replace some bounties with a more rewarding and engaging system, tentatively called Pathfinder. This is going to be debuted on the new destination in the final shape, and we're currently nailing down a plan for how we can use this new system to replace core ritual bounties in the new year. For now, here's a work in progress preview of the Pathfinder UI. This looks cool. This looks cool. I would
Hmm.
like if I can target my rewards specifically out of this, but this looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm down for this.
Yeah.
I'm down. It looks kind of like a weave in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're gonna push changes to ritual content to the final shape that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. And it just kind of highlights, like, they keep talking about allocation of resources and things like that. It really feels like seasonal content was they bit off more than they could chew there.
Hmm.
That's a shame. It really is a shame.
Yeah.
Because I've largely enjoyed most of the seasonal content, but I would trade some of the seasons that we got in order to get more maps, strikes, etc.
Oh yeah.
Connect Our Guardians. And this is the last one. Connect Our Guardians. Gameplay systems and quality of life features we added in Lightfall made D2 the most welcoming it's ever been for new and returning players. Okay. Season 22 will include new ways to experience key in-game moments in Destiny 2's history to help get millions of Guardians caught up for the confrontation with the Witness. Okay, so we're finally getting a theater mode without confirming we're getting a theater mode, I guess.
Mm.
What made some of those moments so special was we actually lived those moments.
Yeah.
You can't recreate the fight against Gaul, taking back the city in the Red War. You can't recreate avenging Cayde 6 and, chasing Uldren into the Dreaming City. The first time you enter the Dreaming City, it's a chase to find him.
Hmm.
You can't. I mean, fighting Zol and Nokris was kind of lame, but it's like, Zol and Nokris, those are actually key figures in the Hive lore.
Hmm.
They're rescuing Saint from the Infinite Forest. Seeing how much it meant that Saint and Mithrax team up in defense of the city and in the defense of the Elixni Quarter. Sure, we'll get those cutscenes, but the tension is gone there.
Right.
We may finally get the cutscenes of Crow defending Zavala, and like those are all cool cutscenes. Those are all cool moments that we had to build to. But it's like we don't have the stuff leading up to it anymore. And it's like you realize at that point how much of this was like audio message and like lore driven.
Right.
And they got to explore some new storytelling. I really hope that they say they're approaching new storytelling philosophies. But um, in season 23, our upcoming LFG feature, Fireteam Finder, will be the silver bullet for players who have never had a full fire team to run endgame content before, including raids, dungeons, master level activities, and more. And in the final shape, we're making big changes to the progression system that will help to connect even more players and remove barriers, keeping friends from taking on the same content together. We'll have more info on that in the showcase. That screams to me we're getting rid of life. Drink.
We're getting rid of what? What'd you say?
We're getting rid of barriers keeping friends from taking on the same content
Oh
together.
yeah, there it is.
Yep,
That's
there
it.
there it is. The light level's gone. This is a pretty bitchin' screenshot down here from the Final Shape teaser trailer that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Really love that the Titan is in the Trials armor.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
That Trials armor is cool, man.
What hunter is wearing Knucklehead radar is what I want to know. And Kaido and Mithrax there. And then here we go. Let's close it out here with the final paragraph from old Joe. The features listed above, combined with everything we're about to show on August 22nd and everything yet to come, will create the best gameplay experience for the widest possible audience that Destiny 2 has ever seen. The Final Shape is incredibly special to us as the culmination of Destiny's first decade, and we're committed to making it just as special for all players worldwide as the showdown with the Witness approaches. Thanks again for taking the time to read this. Today was just a piece of what we have in store, so if we don't run into you in the tower before then, we sure hope to see you all in the chat at the showcase on the 22nd. Joe Blackburn. It's over. It's done. I feel like Frodo Baggins right now.
Sam.
It's over. It's over, Sam. That only took an hour and 20 minutes to get through.
Yeah, it was beefy.
It's beefy, but I think it was really important that we read it. I find it very funny that at the end they talk about the end of the first decade of Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
At the rate this is going, I don't think it's making it a second full decade.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, it depends on what their next couple projects are, right? I mean,
yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like this is destined to become a meme. We'll have more info at the showcase on the 22nd, but it really does feel like, I mean, if I can backseat Dev for a second, what I would be doing is saying, okay, let's, especially after the promise you make that everything will be resolved by the end of the Final Shapes raid, I would not launch a traditional season alongside that. I'd launch like some epilogue stuff, like maybe, we get the resolution of, give us a couple of exotic story quests or something maybe. But if you're really going to change to where you're getting most of your core playlist updates being pushed to the Final Shape, I think that should take the priority there. And honestly, I would move to doing a season pass like you did for Forsaken with 3 mini expansions, but like make them on the level of like obviously better because you've learned a lot now, but give me story expansions that knowing what you know now from seasonal development and whatnot of the size of Dark Below and like House of Wolves. Give me a small campaign to play through. Give me, the reprised raid or the dungeons or whatever. But you have an opportunity there. You can do 2 story expansions, and in the middle, you can do a 10th anniversary celebration for your season pass. I think that would be, acceptable to a lot of us, especially as a lot of people kind of evaluate their relationship with Destiny. I do have a feeling that there's going to be a mass exodus after the Final Shape is done.
Yeah, especially with like, I mean, look how popular even something like Remnant became. I mean, not that Remnant's going to last a decade, but I mean, there's other games. Diablo's here. There are newer games that are doing some of this stuff either more interesting or better. It depends on if Marathon or Matter or whatever else they're taking on takes off, right? Like, there's a lot to speculate about Destiny after the Final Shape, right? I mean, it almost feels like, I mean, I know that this was their goal, but I don't know if this was the goal in this type of way. But like, it's like Avengers Endgame. Like,
Yeah.
what's the direction? And it still feels like there's not really a direction.
I
If you,
feel like they're gonna have to kind of tease the tease the direction a little bit on the 22nd.
yeah, they're gonna they have
Um,
to keep, they, I think
I
they
mean,
have
they
to.
have to because they kind of have to talk about a little bit about like what the content that's going to come afterwards for the year is,
Yeah,
if it really is it's essential for us to do it. But that also like leaves questions of like, well, who do you fight in dungeons then? Like, if none of this is essential to the Light and Dark saga, like, I don't think you can leave Aramis to fight then.
right.
I don't think that you can leave Xivu Wrath for that. You can leave Xivu Wrath for like the next phase, but like those two characters are so entwined with like the Light and Dark saga. Like, I'd be surprised if they make it out.
Hmm.
So like you have various questions, and it's like I almost feel like they're setting us up for a hard reboot with Destiny 3. Like, take everything you've done for D2 and move it forward, like all your systems and everything,
Hmm.
and like have a start over with a new Guardian,
Hmm.
which would be a shame because I'm not re-earning some of that gear for like a fifth time.
Yeah.
Um, but it's becoming pretty clear that you're going to have to do something drastic. And I just don't know to what length Bungie is willing to do that. We'll get some sort of indicator now because what I keep coming back to is that GDC roadmap from last year,
Hmm.
from spring 2022, when Justin Schumann was down at GDC. They had something codenamed Goliath that was launching alongside the final shape, or like relatively shortly after.
Hmm.
We've speculated in the past on what that is. You can go back and listen to various episodes. But the long and the short of it is we think it's some sort of cloud initiative to bring the story content that they took out of the game back into the game,
Right.
which I think is pretty essential. I think it's egregious that I paid money for stuff that's no longer there. It's really frustrating. There's various things that you can do here, and I mean, now we're just kind of in wait and see mode. We know now that there's going to be several blog posts between now and the 22nd. We'll cover those next week and the week after. God willing, they don't drop anything on us on Friday after we've recorded right before that showcase. We'll have showcase predictions. I mean, I don't even know what to predict anymore at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
um,
what do you predict at this point?
yeah, I mean, and we'll do that as is tradition the week before. But we've only got 2 episodes between now and then, and this is the most unsure that I've felt about Destiny's future. I mean, in a really long time. Like, Season of the Worthy is, I have to go back all the way to Season of the Worthy
Yeah.
to be where I was like really questioning Destiny's future, because Shadowkeep was bad. Um, Undying was bad.
Hmm.
Dawn was fine,
Yeah.
and Worthy was really bad. We were in the middle of COVID at the time, and it's like, well, man, that split from Activision ain't looking too hot right now. And then we went on this miracle run
Hmm.
from Arrivals through Haunted, and it was just like, wow, we had one bad season in there, and that was Hunt, and even that, like, the story implications was so good
Yeah.
that it was like, yeah, I can forgive how bad Wrathborn hunts are.
Yeah.
The Hawkmoon quest was so cool. You could get different roles of Hawkmoon and this and that, and Savathun was a part of it. And then you later on, you find out about the deception and everything. It's like giving the Witch Queen that extra development time ended up being the best thing they ever did. And I genuinely wonder if we're going to see the light of the final shape on the 22nd at this point,
Hmm.
because I think Bungie knows they have to stick the landing here.
Hmm. Yeah, they
They
really
have
do.
to. They have to.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know. I don't have anything else. I'm going to talk in circles. I mean, overall, I don't think that this is as much of a catastrophe as it's being painted, but it certainly isn't good.
Hmm.
I've never felt this level of skepticism after a state of the game. Like, this is, we're at one of the low points right now in terms of player sentiment. This is the lowest I've seen outside of Curse of Osiris.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. That's the only, and I'm not even willing to say that we're like at those levels yet, because at least this was a good season. Like, I think overall this is actually a good season.
Hmm.
There is solid content there. It's just core playlists have been neglected for so long. Like, it shouldn't even have to be a point on the roadmap that we're gonna make those playlists healthy again. And here we are. We shouldn't be having to fight to get armor in basic activities, but here we are. It's a whole bunch of little things that have now spiraled and are becoming big things to the community. And part of it is we are like latching on to things that we're just like we're so upset we're latching onto anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Man, what a what an interesting place we're in, Josh.
God, what an interesting place. There's nothing in the Chwid, by the way. In case anybody was wondering, there's nothing in the Chwid. Um, Congratulations. Anomaly is the trials map this weekend. That's literally all we got out of it. So there you go.
It's so interesting how a year ago where we were as opposed to now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we were in such like a hot, like the highest of highs at this point last year, getting ready for the showcase.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely were. I think we were still riding the high from the Witch Queen.
Yeah,
Like the Witch Queen was good. Risen was good.
mhm.
Haunted was fine. Haunted was really good for the story. And we'd heard that the next season was going to be different. And,
Mhm.
you know, Plunders where it all kind of started to spiral. Seraph was still really good, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
still really liked Seraph.
no. I mean, the excitement for Plunder though, right when they announced it, Pirates was a cool idea. It just didn't,
Yeah.
you know.
It didn't land. Oh my god! I can't believe we almost got out of here. We have questions.
I know we have a ton of questions.
Holy shit! Okay, we're gonna fly through these. Apologies to I think it was Cade who asked us this last week for us to design an exotic. We're gonna have to punt that one yet again.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Um,
This
I
took priority. Sorry.
I have an answer worked up. That might even have to be punted in the next season. Frankly, at this point, if we're gonna have as many blocks as we think we are. But let's fly through some of these. Sam Lord of Bananas asks us, "What is the best exotic weapon ornament in the game?"
Oh God. So I actually really like the Mida multi tool ornaments. I think they look really.
Really?
I think they look really like cool. I like the black kind of Splinter Cell looking one. I like the all white one. I think those ones are clean. I like clean ornaments. Like as much as I
Oh, okay.
as much as I like Outbreak Perfected, I think every single ornament for that gun is awful. Uh,
Oh, get out of town.
I also really like the No Time to Explain, the yellow one. I forget what the ornament's called, but it's like the yellow kind of casing around the weapon.
Okay, so Corey likes the boring ones. I
I
like
do.
the fun
I
ones.
love the boring ones. Dude, I hate
I
every
love the
single
fun ones.
ornament for Outbreak Perfected. They're
Oh
all
my god.
ugly.
Get out of here. I've bought every single one of them. I love them all. I love the Trials one. I love the Patient Zero. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's like decayed and it's got the SIVA particles floating around. I love it.
Yeah, okay, that
Love it.
one's kind of cool. But that green like shielded looking one looks awful. The I forget what the other one is. Uh
I will say that one of the ones I like that's pretty recent is the I like the Trident for the exotic stasis glaive.
mm,
I like that one. That one's fun. Um, God, there's just so many. Like I could do like my greatest hits on exotic ornaments. I feel.
mhm.
I will also say that it's goofy, but I really love the Nerf Galar foam ornament.
Yeah.
I think that's just goofy enough for me to like it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Jiggly Panda asks us, "You guys are contracted by Bungie to make a new game mode for either PvE or PvP. What would it be, and what would the name be?"
Oh man, Josh, I've been thinking about this one all day. Well,
Hit me.
as long as the question's been in. So, the game mode is called Ghost Hunter. Okay?
Okay.
The problem is you're there's not enough PvP maps in the dark. Okay? But it's kind of like you look at something like SWAT in Halo, okay?
Yeah.
So, no supers, no heavies, okay? Um and the maps are kind of dark, but not really. No radar, and it's kind of like SWAT from Halo, and it really forces you to play as a team. It would be 3v3, and
Okay.
I and the ghost is like has flashlights, and you can only tell where people are based on their ghost flashlight.
Interesting. I would hate that, but that's an interesting mode.
Yeah.
I think for me, I would love a SWAT. I would love to see SWAT in Destiny,
Hmm.
but I mean that's basically what the game is right now, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, I like the idea of Ghost Hunter, but I wish there was a mode where this is why we won't get it though because Shax would never let us do this.
Mm.
Um, where teams can keep reviving you can just keep reviving infinitely. The only way to take somebody out for good for a round is to crush their ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we'd ever get that. I personally would like that, but that would be a toxic as fuck mode.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Aaron asks us, with the new season's raid being an old raid redone, what is something else you'd like to see return to the game? Red War, Gambit Prime, Breakthrough, Black Armory, everything. Everything. If I fucking paid for it, it needs to come back.
Bring it all.
Bring all the old raids back. I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass serious. If I paid for it, it needs to come back.
I'll buy a memory card.
I have officially jumped on this train. I need to have the option to play it if I paid money for this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like, especially like with the way the story's going, and now that Cade's back and everything, right? Like, I feel like Forsaken is like the most important expansion that you can't play now. Like, really, right?
Yep.
I mean,
dude, you can't even have the Red War, which I feel like is a good intro.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
It's not great, but yeah, everything that I've paid money for needs to come back. I do love Breakthrough as a mode. I'm a very big fan of Breakthrough as a mode in Crucible. At one point, A1 Johnny and I had a 100% success rate in Breakthrough.
Oh boy.
And we were stopping every single match in a 4-stack. It was great. I miss those days. Hail Hydra writes in, first off, glad you guys are covering the state of the game. I don't know what I'm reading. Second, what shaders are you favoriting first? Anything that is not a Vanguard shader is eligible to be favorited.
Yeah, I really like
a lot of like late stage Forsaken and early Shadowkeep shaders were really good.
Yeah, the one I've been wearing a lot recently is Rustberry.
Yep,
I really like that.
I will probably use. I don't know the name of it, but I just got it recently. It is the Iron Banner shader from Joker's Wild, and I would probably wear that. I also really dig First Frost from Season of the Undying, and I've got a soft spot for the Vex Chrome ornaments or shaders for all the way back in Curse of Osiris. Yeah. I hate having to scroll to the end for those, but Mercury Vex Chrome is a favorite in this house.
Yeah, I like the Splicer shader, the pink and the neon green and that kind of thing. I also really like some of the Dawning shaders because they're like that real deep blue and purple and gold. It looks cool on some of the stuff.
The Black Armory shaders are really dope too.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra also asks us, is there a change to Gambit that would make you play it more, or is it really just too far gone and deserves less rewards like what they laid out in the state of the game? We kind of covered this above. I don't think it's necessarily that they're going to have less rewards. It's just they're giving you the option to not play Gambit for weeklies anymore. They're going to continue putting a new weapon in there each season for at least the foreseeable future, it sounds like.
Yeah.
They've tried plenty of changes. I really wish it was possible to go back to how Gambit was during the Forsaken and beginning of Shadowkeep eras. I really think Gambit Prime was the solution. I personally loved Gambit Prime. I loved summoning those giant primevals. Maybe I'll play a little bit of Gambit so I can talk a little bit more to Gambit coming up in the next season. That might be a good episode topic for us. Is Gambit even worth saving?
Yeah.
Because I do have a soft spot in my heart for Gambit.
I mean, I've always thought it was a cool idea. They just never got it
cool
right.
Idea, poor execution.
Yeah.
Fox writes in and asks, on last week's topic of the seasonal models, Bungie stated during the Witch Queen at some point that they had finished Season 20 and begun Season 21. There were hints of change during this season. Do you feel that during Season 22 we will see a full change, or at least a change announced during the showcase? Yes, they confirmed that. They confirmed that towards the end, that we are definitely getting something brand new next season, and that they look on building on what they did this season. We had one or two more.
There was one outside of the question.
There's a couple outside of the questions. I'm going to them right now.
Yeah.
Link Chef writes in and asks us, do you think there's a situation where PvP can be exciting again without new maps? And I mean, the second question really ties into that too. Do you think their efforts for new game modes could revitalize PvP? I'll be honest. Talking to members of the hardcore PvP community, they want maps, they want modes, they just want the game to get a fraction of the attention that PVE gets, and not a tiny fraction.
Mhm.
They would settle, I think, for like 40% of the attention at this point.
Yeah.
And I fully agree. I mean, you guys heard me rant about maps already. I do think that maps and modes both have to come. And I'm excited about some of the modes we've gotten over the last year. I really like the new Iron Banner modes, for example. And I'm just baffled as to why those aren't going into like the normal mode rotation.
Yeah.
Um, it's great that you want to keep introducing modes for Iron Banner, but we need modes for regular Crucible too. So I'm glad they're addressing that with both of these new modes. I actually really dig both Relic and oh god, I've already closed out the tab. Whatever this other one is called. I'm really excited about both of those because I really want to play both of them.
Yeah.
That could revitalize some interest, but the general sentiment that I've seen is just like the PvP community is like, I don't know why we expected anything different. You know,
Mhm.
they just kind of like spit in our faces. And yeah, I kind of agree at this point. So to fix PvP, I mean, because it goes so much beyond just like fixing normal PvP. It has to do with game security. It has to do with matchmaking. It has to do with the way the trials is structured currently. It has the way the Iron Banner is structured. It has to do with all these different components. And you can make efforts and try to change and stuff, but the reality is a lot of these guys aren't going to be happy unless we go back to like the Black Armory Season of the Drifter style meta
Mhm.
that the game had. Then they'll be happy. When Mountaintop Recluse was running crazy, they'd be happy with something like that.
Yeah.
Not maybe not those specific weapons, but like how the game felt then. And I can't say that I'm too opposed to that. My favorite time for the Crucible was the stretch from Season of Opulence through, I don't know, probably Season of Dawn, maybe stretching up to Arrivals. But even by Arrivals, you could feel that there were some cracks, and then Stasis just like blew it open. It's never been the same since Stasis came in.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's just like you had to learn how to play the game again, basically after like 5-6 years.
Mhm.
First new element set in 6 years, and then it was super broken on launch. There's people I know who left PvP then who have never gone back because they just that's what they cite constantly. And it's like, well, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
So, and I think like as certain exotics have evolved too, like Cloud Strike, is a good example. You know, that's you can't counter it.
No.
You like snipers are annoying. Cloud Strike can kill an entire team though.
Yeah.
So I don't know, things like that. I see people complaining about Immortal, and I'm like, oh man, you youngins weren't around for Mountaintop Recluse. You whippersnappers weren't here when that was. They had to nerf those 5 separate times.
Yeah.
Um,
Man.
so we'll see. I think PvP can be exciting for casual players. It's pretty clear it's never going to be exciting for the hardcore fan base ever again. I still really enjoy playing Iron Banner for the most part. Rotators are a nightmare. Momentum control was absolutely atrocious when I tried playing it this season, which is a bummer. That's probably my favorite. That basically is SWAT. That's kind of my favorite mode, and it's just terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Mhm.
So our final question. Oh, excuse me. We have two more questions.
2 more
They're
cues.
very quick. Ziltax asks us, what are your thoughts on a season themed on the Crucible and Shax's story? I believe Corey and I have both expressed a desire for this in the past.
Mhm.
That very much feels like something that's going to have to come after the final shape, though.
Yeah.
Which is, again, we're talking about inexcusable things. Shax has been in the game for 10 years, and we haven't had any storyline at all in game on him.
I know.
Is insane.
Oh, just the lore.
Just the lore. And I mean, to be fair, he has some really great lore. He's been there for so many of the big moments. He was in the Ahamkara hunts. He was a warlord. Him and Saladin used to face down. He was in, one of the fire teams that defended the wall. We read the piece from Saladin last month, how Saladin admitted that Shax was right.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that we deserve a Crucible storyline. I think that the problem has always been the availability of the actor. They have never recast Shax.
Mhm.
And I think we're at a point where you needed to do that like 3 or 4 years ago.
Mhm.
Lenny James just is not going to be available to come in and do dialogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love a Shaq storyline. And our final question, Sammy Gobo writes in: After reading the state of the game, how are we feeling about hearing the Drifter say, "Ding, ding, 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 Lucent Hive, crush some ghosts"? Oh, sorry, he wanted to hear my Drifter impression. All right, hero, let's see what we got. Lucent Hive on the field. Let's crush some ghosts.
Good
You
stuff.
better get out there and kill them, Guardian, before they kill you. That Imaru's one tough son of a bitch. I hope that lived up to your expectations, Sammy.
Lived up to mine, Josh, if that makes you feel better.
It does. Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome.
With that, I do need another drink of water because that hurts my throat.
Oh, man. Gotta love this
And that's
show.
it. That's it. No more questions. We're done.
That's it.
It's over, Corey. I thought we were done, but
No,
we're done. Also, Sammy, you might be on my shit list saying that he loves Gambit.
Ooh.
Brother, I don't know if I can agree with that.
We're gonna have to have a little talking too with Sammy.
See if I bring you along for the next dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. You really brought me along. So.
All right, Josh, we're getting out of here. We're leaving.
Oh God, get me out of
We're
here,
leaving.
Corey.
We 2 more episodes until the review.
Showcase.
So
they're apparently going to be really packed.
Oh
so.
boy. Okay. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can subscribe to us on podcast services. Leave us a review, rating, tell your friends, join the Discord. If you're just joining us, welcome. Josh, thank you for your time as always tonight.
As always.
Where can we find you?
You can still find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn2ends. I'm going down with the ship. I'm going to be the musician on the Titanic that's still playing as it goes down.
Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't go down, but we'll see.
If it does, you guys can find me in the Discord as Finn. Everybody harasses me. We've named our bot inside the Discord. Nerd named it Finn Church.
I saw that.
And I've never been happier to see something like that. And just every time that you summon Finn Church, it's pulling me saying Jesus fucking Christ. So it's great.
You can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram and Threads and wherever else these things are. I don't know. I hate social media now.
Yep, same.
You can catch our new show, Xbox Casuals, every other Tuesday. Of course, the first few episodes are under the previous name, so you're not listening to the wrong show if you download it. The 4th episode will be the reveal of the new name, so keep that in mind. Join the Discord, all that stuff. Thanks for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.